Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back Victoria Price, the daughter of Vincent Price. She's coming back on the show today. We're going to have a conversation about Valentine's Day, because it is Valentine's Day week. This Friday is Valentine's Day. And she's going to be promoting her appearance at Mad Monster Party in Charlotte, North Carolina this weekend. And it's going to be pretty cool. I love talking to Victoria. She's such a sweet lady and so humble. She's really awesome. So, here is my new interview with Victoria Price. Hey, Victoria.
Hey, Tommy, how are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, I just finished my next to last physical therapy session. I'm sore as shit, but I'm going to get through it.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, so this Friday is Valentine's Day, a day that I've always had a little bit of a disdain for, because I grew up in the big money-making holiday boom where Valentine's Day brought my generation a message of superficial materialism and gave us a lot of low self-esteem because we didn't have anyone to share our Valentine's Day with. But do you have a lot of wonderful Valentine's Day memories?
Can't think of one. You've stumped me right off the bat, Tommy. I don't have one Valentine's Day memory that of any note whatsoever.
Really? For you, it's always been just another day?
I just think these are all made-up holidays. I guess I remember liking it in grade school when you made little Valentines and you gave them to everybody. That I liked.
Yeah. When I was 6 years old, that was like my first year I can remember where we all had to give each other Valentines, and all the girls that were in my class were so mean to me other days of the year that they had no choice but to give me Valentines, and when they did, it didn't mean anything, and it was really, really sad though, just how they treated me. But by the end of the school year, we had a new girl come to our class who had moved to town, and she was my girlfriend, my first girlfriend by the end of the school year, and so that meant a lot to me.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I was only 6 years old, and we spent a lot of time together all the way until I transferred to another school halfway through second grade. I didn't see her again until end of fifth grade. Her mom ran into my mom, and she invited me to her birthday party, and I went. And then by sixth grade, she was different. I was different. We didn't talk much. Someone told me while I was not at school in seventh grade, she tried to jump off of the school building.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I couldn't believe. I didn't believe it for a long time until years later someone confirmed that it was true, But then we didn't go to the same high school together. But when I was 25, I found her on MySpace, and I messaged her. And by that point, she had already been through a husband, kids. She had been through drug use, all that stuff. She was just not the same anymore. And I felt really bad because for a long time I thought she was the girl that got away, but now I don't think of her that way anymore, but for a long time I did.
Wow.
Yeah. But, I remember when I was in sixth grade, I had really bad chest pains on Valentine's Day, and I thought it was because Cupid's arrow hit me.
Oh, that's so sweet. I mean, not in a good way, but in a good way, too.
Yeah, as it turned out, it's just I was eating too much junk food at that time, and I was overweight. But I thought that Cupid's arrow hit me. And there were these girls that day, I remember, they were, teasing me. They were, throwing stuff at me, like rocks, little teeny tiny rocks or something to get my attention. and I was just way too immature to recognize anything. But I always remember that Valentine's Day a lot. And then, of course, in high school, we had like school dances around Valentine's Day or something. And for the first 2 years, I couldn't get any girls to dance with me at the dances. And so I was rejected an awful lot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was a late bloomer, But have you had any Valentines?
I really don't believe in these holidays, so I don't celebrate Christmas. I don't celebrate Valentine's. I don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day or the 4th of July. So I think one of my most fun Valentine's Day, though, was I did do an event in Austin, and we called it Valentine's for Vincent, and it was at this great place that is now, it was run by the people who own the Museum of the Weird, which is just this awesome place in Austin. Mm-hmm. Steve and Veronica, and they had all these great, it was like a sort of you could walk through almost like a wax museum, and they had some great the figures up of my dad and other horror stars. And so I gave 2 talks that day, and then, sort of hung out and met people in between. And it was a Saturday, and I think a lot of people, don't like Valentine's and didn't have anything to do, so they were pretty psyched there was something fun to do that day.
Oh, good. So it ended up being an alternative event for people who didn't have a Valentine.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are always good. Yeah, I didn't have my first Valentine until I was 25, and it was a disaster. It was this girl I had met. She was hanging out at the bar that I was working in. We dated for a month, and Valentine's Day came up during that month, and she got to our Valentine's date already drinking, and she was just a mess that night. And so I had to say goodbye to her like early, and then I went to the bar I worked at, and then she showed up with her father. Her father came and got her, and it was a disaster. And I don't know why she kept on seeing me for a few more weeks after that. It was pretty bad, and I haven't had a Valentine since.
Oh.
And I don't want one. When I have just my mother, that's all I need.
Oh.
Yes, which reminds me I have to go get her a card before Friday.
It's always important. Don't forget Mom on Valentine's Day.
Yes, always. I was curious, though, Victoria, what does a lady have to do to win your heart?
I'm not looking to be with anyone, male, female. I feel like I am happy right where I am. I feel like I'm self-partnered and partnered with my higher power, and I have deep friendships with people, and I have my wonderful dog. So I'm actually not looking to have my heart won by anyone. Very happy the way I am right now. And probably I can't imagine that changing.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly the way I feel. I just want to do my podcast and just keep climbing the showbiz ladder and just work hard, because I did plenty of dating in my 20s, and it wasn't pretty. So I just feel like I'm just not cut out for that,
Well, there's so much emphasis placed on dating and certain kinds of love and romance that we don't recognize all the love that's around us in so many ways.
Mm-hmm. I know, because just, our whole world, our whole culture is just consumed by greed, and just there's not enough love in this world, I feel.
There is enough love in this world. It's just that we're all listening to the wrong radio stations. Love is broadcasting 24/7, and we're listening to the horror stories and the disaster tales, and so is the whole world. So we begin to think that that's all there really is. But every place we turn, every person we meet, all anybody ever wants is to love and to be loved. And so if we remember and recognize that love is in everyone we meet and surrounds everyone we meet, and then we greet and meet and interact with one another from a loving place, we begin to feel that love that we're so sure doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I meant to say was, I mean, there is enough love in this world, but just it's not being talked about as much, is what I meant to say. You know, and you're right, the horror stories, but the real life horror stories, not the ones that your father's told.
Right, exactly. My dad always used to say that he thought that, the horrors of the world were far worse than anything a horror movie could come up with.
Yeah. Yes, like nuclear war, stuff like that. But people do, make horror stories about nuclear war, but the real nuclear war is just worse than that. Did you
Yeah.
Did you watch the Academy Awards last night?
No, I don't like awards shows, so I don't watch them.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I have to say, though, everyone did not talk about politics in their speeches last night. A couple social issues were brought up, but it was a really good night, and everyone who was performing, all the comedians who were like giving speeches were hilarious, and no one rocked the boat last night, I have to say. Everyone's like praising it as one of the best Academy Award ceremonies of all time.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so amazing. Did your father ever present at the Oscars?
Yeah, a couple of times, and toward the end of his life, he presented the first award for makeup.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Was Dick Smith nominated or won that year?
I don't remember. Sorry.
I'm sure he was, though. I mean, Dick Smith was a pioneer.
Well, it was in the 80s, so I think it might have been after his time.
Oh, okay. Maybe like Rick Baker era or something.
Yeah, Rick Baker. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, your father, God, he did not take himself too seriously. Whenever something called for like Oscar presentation or just anything, he would be there.
Oh, yeah, he loved to, participate in whatever people asked him to do. He was a big fan of saying yes to things.
Yeah, it's like he was a serious actor, but, he didn't mind being looked at as a personality, it seemed.
Well, I think he understood that if you're a celebrity, then you make your living by basically having people love your work and want to know what you're doing. So, in a way, Helen Hayes told him when he was a very young man that you're a public servant. And so if you are a public servant, then really you have to be open to whatever you're asked to do. And of course, if it's something that's against your morals or your beliefs, then obviously you have to have boundaries. But if you want to maintain your fan base, then people want to know what you're doing and want to see you do things.
Yeah, because there's a lot of serious actors out there who don't want to be a personality, and they turn down the kind of stuff that your father did, and it's quite sad because people want to see. I think the audiences, they want to see movie stars break character and laugh a little and just have a good time.
Yes, absolutely. They want to see what they're like behind the mask, as it were.
Exactly. Like some, big movie stars who are serious actors, they don't want to do talk shows, and if they do talk shows, they're still like, they're being serious and they're not loosening up and laughing and stuff, it's like, it's almost like they're performing on a talk show and, the host wants them to be themselves.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's really sad, But did your father ever want to play a role that he ended up not playing?
Yes, when he was a young man, he auditioned for Gone with the Wind for Ashley Wilkes, and he didn't get it, and Leslie Howard, who was English, did. Mm-hmm. And so I think he felt like here was this guy from the South, really from St. Louis, and they cast an Englishman, and I think he wondered what his career would have been like if he'd been in that kind of blockbuster as a young man.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have done the horror had he gotten that role.
Oh, I think he would have done whatever kept him doing what he loved, which was acting.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was so Gone with the Wind was one and stuff. Was there any others like later maybe?
I don't remember any later. That was the one he talked about the most.
Mm-hmm. But there was never like I want to play this type of character, but then he never did it.
Not that I heard him say other than that particular one.
Nice, nice. So this weekend you'll be at Mad Monster Party in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes.
Is there going to be a special event there that you're going to be a part of?
I'm going to give him a talk about my dad on Saturday night, so I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically, I'm just there to chat with people and meet people. First convention of the decade, so that's fun.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to be doing any signing there?
Yep. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll have books and posters and all sorts of fun things.
Nice. Are you going to do Monsterpalooza this year?
I think from what I understand it, Monsterpalooza is really going more in the direction of working with artists as opposed to guests, or at least that's what the promoter told me. So yeah, no, I haven't been invited to Monsterpalooza for a few years now because I think his focus is on artists, and because my dad was such a supporter of the arts, I applaud him for that. So I miss going to Monsterpalooza, and I miss seeing people in LA, but I'm really glad he's focused on the artists.
Well, they still have a ton of guests year after year. That this year they got the Lugosi family and the Chaney family, and they got like tons of people from the original Halloween movie and like Scream, and Clive Barker is going to be there, and all these great horror people.
Ooh, oh, that's fun. Well, yeah, for some reason I'm not invited anymore. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I don't know really what's happened, but maybe one day I'll be invited again, and I certainly would love that.
Yeah, that's terrible that you haven't been invited again. That would be great.
I think there are a lot of people who people want to see, and I think it's important that all different kinds of people get invited, and that if there's extra room, it's for the artists. That's what the promoter told me, that he really wants to make the space for the artists, and I'm really happy about that. That made me really happy to hear.
Yeah, maybe Sinister Creature Con will invite you back.
I would love that.
Yeah. That they're starting to grow in popularity. I went to the second one in 2016. There was nobody there. And the last 2 years I've seen, oh my God, so many people there.
That's so cool. Yeah, no, I love coming to California, and it's a lot of fun. So like I said, I miss not coming, to Monsterpalooza and seeing all the other, the horror families like the Lugosis and the Karloffs. But I'm going to get to see them. I think next week we're doing an episode of something called Terror TV. I think it's going to be all about the horror family. So at least I get to see them there. And Sarah and I do lots of things together. So I always get to see Sarah, and I love Sarah Karloff. So
yeah,
it's there's an ebb and flow always with these things, and you just kind of got to go with the flow.
Yeah, I talked to Sarah last October. She's a very sweet lady, and she loved how I did so much research on her father. And I was like, well, a lot of the research, came from my brain because I've been a lifelong fan,
Cool.
Yeah, she's a very sweet lady. Are there any other upcoming events or anything you're working on?
Well, I've got a book coming out in April, and I lead tours, so I'm going to be leading a tour in New Orleans next month, and in Italy, and in England, and Scotland, and so lots of fun things like that. I'm going to a lot of different conventions all over the country, and I've been doing a lot of fun things. I'll be in Spooky Empire in Orlando, and conventions in Indiana and in Kansas, some places I haven't done conventions before, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Is there anything you can mention about the book without giving too much away?
Oh, there's nothing not to give away. It's a book about practice, and by that I mean it's a book about basically that people, we all kind of go through life looking at all the problems we have, and then we wonder why we can't fix those problems. And this really is a way of saying, if you want to invite change into your life, stop trying to fix the problems and instead put your energy into practicing who you want to be and how you want to move through the world. So if you want to feel more joy, practice joy every day. And it's something I really learned from my dad.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, too. I think that's another thing that's been going on nowadays. People want to jump ahead without putting the work into it, And I think that the more you practice, the better you get at it, and then more success comes from it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The more we practice being the kinds of people we want to be, the more we are the kinds of people we want to be.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been working on that book?
Oh, it's coming out in April, so I'm done with it now, so that's good.
No, I mean, how long did it take to write?
Oh, it was a pretty quick book to write, actually, because it was something I do every day. I practice. I practice showing up to my life every day in more joy and more connection and more presence and more gratitude. And it's really something I learned from my dad. I felt like I was, somebody who was a workaholic and not enjoying her own life, and I really began changing that for myself.
Yeah, I write screenplays, and I make it a point to write at least 10 pages a day.
Oh, that's fantastic. See, that's great. That's the kind of practice that makes a big, big difference.
Yeah, and I tell all writers that. If you're writing, whether it's a book or a script, write 10 pages a day, and then, don't overextend yourself, don't blow yourself out. Just, write 10 pages a day, and then just put it away, and then do more tomorrow. It's a day-by-day process.
Exactly.
Yes. So, Victoria, there's this game that I like to play with my guests.
Okay.
It's kind of like James Lipton's questionnaire from inside the actor's studio, but it's silly slumber party questions. And how this works is...
I like that. Silly slumber party questions. That's great.
Yes. And how it works is I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me that exact same question, and I answer it.
Okay.
Okay. Victoria, are you ticklish?
Sort of. Are you ticklish?
I'm baby ticklish.
Ah.
Yes. What is your favorite part of the body?
Ooh, wow. Hair? What's your favorite part of the body?
That's an interesting one. I never heard that one. I have always loved the belly button.
Huh. That's fun.
Yeah. Do you ever contemplate your belly button?
Yeah, I would have to say no on that one. Do you contemplate your belly button?
Every day.
Wow.
Yes. I have a very deep innie. What color are your toenails painted?
They are not painted any color. What color are your toenails painted?
They're not painted right now, but last time they were purple with sparkles.
Nice.
Yes, I like doing the elaborate colors.
Nice.
Yes. And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Wow. A stinky smell that just makes me gag. Well, I'm not really a big fan of Brussels sprouts.
Oh, those are pretty bad.
And is there a stinky smell that makes you gag?
Either farts or feet. Yeah. My family were very sensitive to smell.
Ah, got it.
Especially on my mother's side because she's Italian. Well, Victoria, I hope you have a great time in North Carolina this weekend, and I hope it's a huge turnout for you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to going, I always enjoy going new places. And I think I've only driven around Charlotte, so it'll be fun to go to Charlotte and meet some people who live there and in that area. So thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it.
Oh, of course, Victoria. I love talking to you. You're such a sweet lady, and you're so optimistic about life. And I love talking to people who are optimistic about life. So
Well,
thank
I
you.
think we have to be these days. It behooves us all to try to find the positive because there's so much negative that we're hearing.
Yes, there is, but we're in the minority. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Take care. You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. Victoria Price. Ain't she a sweetheart? I love Victoria. She's such a deep thinker, and she's such just full of life. I love Victoria Price. It's a far contradiction from her father's persona of being the embodiment of evil, but he produced just an amazing daughter, and he was an amazing man. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.